So in a previous class, we have discussed about epithelial tissue. Now let's study about muscular tissue. Muscular tissue is the main important tissue which is present in muscles. Okay, children, muscles and organs, they are fully made up of muscular tissues. They're present in every part of your body. Every part of your body you will find the muscle, right? Now, muscles are generally involved in different kinds of movements. Say, for example, now you're listening to my video, your eyes are blinking, your heart is beating. See, I'm teaching, my hand is moving. All these movements are brought about by the muscles and the muscular tissues. How come muscles can move? Ante muscles are having special ability of contraction and relaxation. Because of this ability only we can move. Say for example, you see my finger is there, so I'm able to move this finger up and down. ఈ finger లో ఒక bone ఉంటుంది, so that bone must be pulled, then left. మజిల్ కాంట్రాక్ట్ అయినప్పుడు ఈ బోన్ ఇలా ఫ్రంట్కి మూవ్ అవుతుంది, మజిల్ రిలాక్స్ అయినప్పుడు బోన్ మళ్ళీ నార్మల్ పొజిషన్కి వస్తుంది. Understood? So muscles generally pull, they contract and pull the bone, they relax and leave the bone. So that is how movement happens. Understood? Next. So just remember that because of the muscle ability to contract and relax, movement is possible in our body. There are 3 different types of muscular tissues based on their structure and what function they perform. First one is voluntary muscle, which is also named as the striated or skeletal muscles. Why is it having 3 names? We'll discuss. See, these voluntary muscles or skeletal muscles are having a structure like this. Okay, like this. These muscles, these muscular tissues, skeletal muscular tissues, what they'll do, they are generally multinucleated. We studied that in a single cell there will be only one single nucleus, but in case of skeletal tissues, skeletal muscle tissues, there will be many number of nucleus, therefore we call it multinucleated. And shape of each cell in this is a cylindrical shape. But to appear how they are appearing like they are having some stripes. These stripes can also be called as striations. So as a striations or stripes are there, we call it striated muscle. And they are attached to our skeleton. As they are attached to our skeleton, we call them skeletal muscles. And you move your skeleton whenever you want to. Say for example, if suddenly you want to stop the video and go somewhere, you will stop it and you will go somewhere. How? Because you want to do it, you will do it. These muscles are under your control. Whenever you want to do something, you will do it. Whenever you don't want to move your hand, I kept my hand like this and I don't want to move my hand from here, so my muscles won't move. Understood? If I want to move, then only it will move. So as they are under my control, right? So as these muscles move according to our will, we call them voluntary muscles. They are voluntary to do what you want, right? So what you need to remember about striated muscles, they are voluntary muscles. They move according to our will. They have striations or stripes, that is why they are called striated muscles. They have many nucleus. They are cylindrical in shape. They are not branched. They are not having any branches. Single cell will be like this, right? No branches. Then they are attached to the skeleton, therefore they called as skeletal muscles. They work according to our will, therefore they called voluntary muscles. Like this, in the skeleton ila bones ki muscle attach ayi untundi. Okay, such muscles are called skeletal muscles, right children? And one more important thing, see, వీటిలో మనం further గా if we on microscopic view, if you see in under microscope, you will find the structures like this. When you see such muscles under microscope, you will find structures like this. The striations that you're seeing like this, you're seeing some striations, right? These are made up of light and dark bands. Okay, the light and dark bands are made up of proteins. These are the dark bands which you are seeing here. These are the light bands which you are seeing here. Okay, so light bands and dark bands అనేవి they are made up of proteins. The names of the proteins are actin and myosin. Actin proteins are generally light stripes are made up of actin proteins, whereas the thick proteins that you see here are the myosin proteins. Understood? ఈ ప్రోటీన్స్ అనేవి ఎలా ఉంటాయంటే దే విల్ బి ఇన్ ద ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ అ థ్రెడ్. దట్స్ వై వీ కాల్ దెమ్ యాజ్ ప్రోటీన్ ఫిలమెంట్స్. Right? They appear like threads. Understood? So the light bands and dark bands are formed due to actin and myosin. Right, children? So ఈ striations అనేవి ఉండడం వల్ల ఈ ప్రోటీన్ ఫిలమెంట్స్ వల్లనే ఈ striations కనిపిస్తాయి. Okay, so that's why it is called as a striated muscle. Involuntary or unstriated muscles, which are also called as smooth muscles. These muscles are very smooth to see. They don't have any striations or stripes like this. As striations are absent, you can call them unstriated muscle. At the same time, you can also call them smooth because they don't have any rougher appearance. Okay, and they are involuntary. You don't know that they are working at all. They are work చేస్తున్న విషయం మీకు తెలీదు. Say for example, as you are listening to my class, you don't pay attention to your heart. You don't tell your heart that heart, please beat, please pump blood. You won't tell your heart. Heart keeps on doing its work. You don't tell your lungs to breathe. You don't tell your intestine, you don't tell your stomach to perform digestion function, because these things are not under your control. They happen automatically. Understood? They happen involuntarily. These muscles are called as involuntary muscles because they do not listen to you. They are not under our control. Okay, they are involuntary. They won't voluntarily work even if you tell. Okay, they'll do as they want to do. Right? They'll be directed by the brain, and according to it only they will function. Right? So they are involuntary muscles. They don't have any branches. They have only one nucleus, that too at the center. Right? So they are uninucleated cells. They are spindle shaped, which is narrow at both the ends, wider at the middle. Okay, ఈ shape ni manam spindle shape antam. So where you will see them? All the internal organs like the kidneys, stomach, intestine, urinary bladder, in the eyes also. Say for example, you're watching a మూవీ చూస్తున్నంతసేపు మీ ఐస్ మూవ్ అవుతూ ఉంటాయి. డూ యూ పే అటెన్షన్ టు యువర్ ఐస్? నో, you keep on blinking your eyes even while you're watching a movie or playing something, but you won't pay attention to them. Normally when you see mirror, that time you will pay attention to it, but when you're watching a 3 hours movie or when you're talking to your friends, you'll not pay attention to them, but still they'll move. Right? So all these involuntarily moving muscles are smooth muscles which are not under our control. Right? Next, coming to the last type of muscle, which is cardiac muscle. Cardiac muscle generally will be, yes, it will be branched. Cells are connected to each other. There will be many number of nuclei, and as the voluntary muscles only, as striated muscles, they also have stripes and striations. So to look as it is like the striated muscle, but it will not function according to your will. It functions like the smooth muscle. It functions involuntarily. So this appears like striated muscle. It functions like unstriated muscle. So idi kadu, both the characters are there. So you can call it as a mixed muscle or a special type of muscle. So cardiac muscle type of tissues, they are cylindrical, they are branched, they are connected with each other, they have many nuclei, they have stripes and striations because they have actin and myosin protein filaments. But they work involuntarily. You don't have to tell them to work. Okay? They work continuously and they do not get tired. నార్మల్గా స్కెలిటల్ మజిల్స్ అనేవి ఏంటంటే దే గెట్ టైర్డ్ వెన్ యూర్ డూయింగ్ అ వర్క్ రిపీటెడ్లీ. సే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ యూఆర్ రన్నింగ్ ఫర్ 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers. You'll get pain in your thighs, you'll get pain in your sides of your stomach, etc. Why? Because the muscles related to them are getting tired. They are not getting enough energy. But that problem won't be there with cardiac muscle. Miru, even when you are in mother's womb, even from that stage heart will start beating. అప్పటి నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అయ్యి until the time we die, these muscles will work continuously without getting tired. Right, madam? Then why, ma'am, why they'll not get tired? Will they have sufficient energy? If you ask me like that, yes. When compared to any other muscle cell, cardiac muscles will have lots and lots of mitochondria to produce enough energy. Understood? So mitochondria will be more in cardiac muscles and they'll produce more energy for them to work continuously. They won't get tired, that's why. Structure is like voluntary muscles, but they function involuntarily. So you can call them as mixed muscles or special muscles. Right? So one more note I want to tell you. Just a second. See, in all the muscle cells, the cell membrane can be called as sarcolemma, whereas the cytoplasm is sarcoplasm. Okay, the membranes of the muscle cells are called sarcolemma. The cytoplasm of the muscle cells is called sarcoplasm. Right? Now, please see the following video so that you'll get clarity about this topic.
We divide them into 3 major categories: striated muscles, smooth muscles, and cardiac muscles. Let's have a look at each type. The first one is called striated muscles. Now, as the name suggests, striated means when we stain this tissue and observe it under the microscope, then it exhibits striations in the form of alternate light and dark bands. Where do we find this type, by the way? We find these striated muscles attached to the bones. Hence, they are also named as the skeletal muscles. Also, when we say attached to the skeleton, it means they help in movement of our hands and legs along with locomotion. So can we say that their action is carried out according to our will? Absolutely. And that is the reason why we also call them the voluntary muscles. Thus, striated muscles are called as skeletal muscles and voluntary muscles as well. These are found to have a typical cylindrical structure due to wrapping of the long muscle fibers together. These are usually unbranched and multinucleate in nature. On similar lines, we have the next type, that is the smooth muscles. These are also called as unstriated and involuntary. Now we can guess their structure and nature from the names itself. Smooth or unstriated because they do not present a banding pattern like the striated ones when stained and observed under a microscope. Instead, they have long spindle-shaped uninucleate cells. And why involuntary? Yes, because their activities are not under our control. So what could be their location now? Well, we find smooth muscles in the stomach, in the bronchi, in the uterus, and also in the iris of eyes. Now let's take a look at the last type, that is the cardiac muscles. Again, the name is enough for us to state its function and location. These muscles are those found in the heart. So the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of our heart or the working of our heart is all because of these cardiac muscles. Although they are involuntary in activity, their structure is like that of striated muscles partially. They are cylindrical and branched but uninucleate in nature. These muscles perform rhythmic contraction and relaxation tirelessly throughout our life. Well, this was about the 3 major types of muscular tissues: the striated,